So welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead. I'm Papa Pepper. Today I'm going to be talking about why we chose to live in the Ozarks. Honestly, we could have really moved anywhere in the world, anywhere in the United States, certainly anywhere within the continental 48 states. So why the Ozarks? I originally wanted to record this a couple weeks ago when I was down in Biloxi, Mississippi. I was thinking, get me in a hot tub with some palm trees with the Gulf behind me. Didn't work out. Now I'm actually down about an hour from St. Charles, Louisiana. Been spending a couple days down here doing a lot of stuff. Fixing up stuff after Hurricane Laura had come through. So I wanted to get this done before I went to bed tonight, so here we go. The first reason that we actually moved to the Ozark was friends. The type of lifestyle change to sell our house, cash in our 401k, quit my job that I'd been at for many years, had a lot of vacation time, a really good wage, a really good shift. I was pretty much stuck in a warehouse by myself a lot of the time. Man, it was really, we were set. But to kind of do the whole change and move out in the middle of nowhere is kind of something that's a little intimidating, something that's a little difficult, and something that we may not have done on our own. But we had some friends who were also leaving Wisconsin, moving to the Ozarks, who had a very similar mindset about how to raise a family, how to live life, what a lot of things should look like. A lot of things were based on scripture, and they were doing it. And I said, you know what, maybe if we kind of cast our lot with them, maybe if we kind of joined together, that would give us the opportunity to do something that we normally wouldn't. We could benefit from them, they could benefit from us. Rather than being kind of stuck in it alone, we could be in it together, and it'd be a little less intimidating. Over the course of life and over the course of events, they've actually spent a while living back in Wisconsin now. It's been a while since we really seen them or hung out with them, but friends was part of the reason that we actually chose this specific area to live in. So, of course, we got a lot of friends who live a lot of different places, a lot of different people move at different times. Why the Ozarks? Another reason was the land cost. The land that we actually live on, we bought for about $1,000 an acre. Not too long ago, we were looking at 40-acre plots, and a lot of them were about $900 to $1,500 an acre. So you're looking at 40-acre plots between $36,000 and $60,000. Not too bad. Now, I was talking to somebody the other day. They bought some land outside of Fayetteville. I think they paid between $7,000 and $9,000 per acre. You know, there is an opportunity to spend more, but there are places that you can still get land that cheap. And if you think about it, I mean, a lot of people spend $1,000 just on their rent for their apartment every month, and then to have it for another month, they got to pay $1,000 again. Not where we lived, but plenty of places, people, whether it's renting a house, renting an apartment, whatever it may be, they're dropping $1,000 a month anyway. If we drop $1,000 once, we could have a whole acre of land. It was a fantastic thing to consider, and sure enough, it lived up to our expectations. The cost of land in some of the places was amazing. We're very pleased and blessed. And if you think about too, spending about less than $8,000 on property and then $14,000 on a mobile home, that's not a very big investment to kind of cross rent, mortgage, all of that off of the to-do list. You know, it's amazing, and that worked out really well for us. So, considering the cost of living too, one reason that we chose the Ozarks was the property tax. When it was just raw land for under 8 acres, we were paying $17 in property tax. Okay, I had a 1/4 acre in the city with a house valued at about $70,000. I think I had to pay around $1,600 every year. I call it almost in rent from the government, because property tax is a really interesting thing, that if you had something that every year you have to pay the government for still having it. I mean, it's peculiar, and it seems very strange. I know we go along with it. I know we accept that, but to me, it is like rent from the government, and if I can avoid it, I rather would. So if there's a way to do that, I still have to figure out what happens at the end of this tax season, but now that we're living on the land, there is a $350 homestead credit I can claim, and I think that actually might offset our liability. So we may have crossed property tax off the list of just bills we got to pay pertaining to our land and our home. So that's pretty crazy to think about. Property tax was one that was really big. When we're just considering all the variables. Again, the overarching goal of our family is to live a life together. Obviously, if I'm down in Louisiana now, I'm not together with them, but we've spent a lot of time together over the past couple of years, and I hope there's a bunch more of that in the future. And the lower our cost of living, like if you don't have a muffler, the lower our cost of living, the cheaper we're gonna be able to live. Therefore, the less money I'm gonna need to earn. It just seemed like the wise thing to do, like a great way to have life work out. So if I head to the gardening kind of side of things, because I'm a gardener, I wanted to grow a lot of our own food. That kind of comes together in the cost of living. And I realized that my growing zone and the plants I could grow would actually work out really well. What I mean by that is that pretty much everything I could grow in Wisconsin, I can still grow here in the Ozarks, but I've got a lot longer growing season. A lot of times there, by the end of October, I was pretty much almost done completely growing outdoors. There was a lot of times my pepper plants, I would even start sometimes in February in the house, and I would not put them outside till June 1st, just because I didn't want some late frost to come, hit my peppers, hit my tomatoes, hit things like that. So the growing zone down here, we're 6B, 7A. We've got a lot longer we can grow for. Everything I could grow up there, I'm still able to grow here, as far as I know. And I'm able to grow a lot more stuff, which is even more beneficial. So trying to provide more for our family, the more I can just grow, the wider variety. And most of the things I really like that we grow here, I never even grew up there. So just kind of cool to see how much that unlocked as far as just the potential for a successful garden for us. So, and that brings us to rules, regulations, zoning laws, building codes. There's a lot more freedom down here. I know some places where they don't have any building codes. They don't really have zoning laws like that in certain areas. They don't really have these rules and regulations and things that people put up with. Again, I can understand why some places people think it's a good idea. I can understand even why people would get to the point that they wouldn't allow people to really run a business from home. You need a separate commercial property because you can't do that in a residential area. I get how people kind of, I say, fell for that. I get how people don't want farm animals in the city, but then again, you get to the point you can't have anything that gives you meat, milk, or eggs. You have to invest the extra capital to have a business, a storefront in a commercial area, you know, that you aren't able to have in a residential. That's dangerous to me. That adds to the cost of living. It really makes sure takes a lot more of your money away and a lot of your freedoms too. And I don't like either of those type of things. So when I see the freedom that we have in the move that we made, it makes a lot of sense for me. I definitely appreciate the lack of a lot of that and the ability to do a lot of things that I wouldn't really need to be able to do up there. So Homeschool Laws is another one. We looked a lot of different places, and one thing that we wanted to be able to do was to make sure just to have that freedom to educate our children, to be able to teach them. And there's some places where you almost need a teaching degree to teach your own children. You know, unless you've been educated in education, they don't want you educating. And I think that's dangerous as well. I understand that maybe a lot of parents don't feel equipped. Maybe some parents would not do a good job. But I think that ultimately parents should be free to educate their own children. And we definitely appreciate that freedom, and we want to be able to exercise it. We've done that up in Wisconsin. We've done that here in the Ozarks where we live. We've had a good time of it. It seems to be working out well for our family. And we wanted to be wise and make sure we didn't move somewhere where all of a sudden we were put in some box that we didn't desire to be in, where we had to jump through extra hoops, or we lost some of our freedoms with that, or something like that. So Homeschool Laws was on our list of reasons why we moved here. And I should mention population density as well. I'm not saying that the broad area that is called the Ozarks of northern Arkansas, southern Missouri, eastern Oklahoma, that there's not large cities in there. There absolutely is. There's some cities. They may not be as large as LA or, you know, Houston or some other places, but there's larger cities there. There's places where the population gets pretty dense. One thing that we were trying to do is live in an area where there is not a great population density. We wanted to live a more rural life. We wanted to live out in the country. A lot of times that's where you're going to find the cheaper land. That's where you're going to find the zoning laws and rules and regulations and stuff being less. That's where you're going to have some more freedom to just take a larger stewardship of the earth. And as well, we do love people. We love interacting with people, but I do appreciate not constantly being surrounded by strangers all day long and things like that. So we wanted to live in the country. It's interesting because we had gone through, I planned on writing this weeks ago, and then recently had a family member say, you know, we're pointing out like, hey, you guys could have just moved in the country up here in Wisconsin too. And it's like, yes, we're fully aware of that. I'm almost 40 years old. I know I could live in the country in Wisconsin. That's within my realm of realization of things I'm aware of. And it gave us a good chance though, as kind of we were to a degree challenged by this family member, just to kind of reevaluate where we're at too. And this little scribbled list that I'm reading off of, you know, was in the forefront of my mind. I had that and I was planning on making this video. And then it gave us a chance kind of with me and Mama Pepper just looking at it, and we're very pleased in the choices we've made. We're very happy with the setup that we have and with our move to this area. There is things that we miss out on being 750 miles away from a lot of my family. Mama Pepper has some up there too, and then some farther down in, you know, deep South Texas. But a lot of times families only get together a couple times a year, and it's not that periodical insertion of other people into our life that was our main concern. It was me and Mama and the children and us being together, and that 24-hour time period that we were looking at. When I do work, I work hard. Right now I'm gone on a longer stretch than I normally like. But a while ago, I was home for 3 weeks straight, and then left for 3 days one week, and then worked 3 days another week, and then this week will be like 5, you know. But it's hit or miss, and a lot of times it's hit, meaning that I'm at home, and I don't have to miss my family out here on the road. So there's been a lot of sacrifices we made. Overall, we're looking at that family structure. We're looking at the financial freedom that's going to put us there. So if we can move somewhere where the cost of living is cheaper, we can buy cheaper land, the property tax is fine, the zoning laws are good, because a lot of that stuff you got to pay for it too. We've got more freedom to do what we want, grow more of our own food, be there with our children, home educating them. We love that stuff. So that's just a little bit of why we moved to the Ozarks. Obviously, people are free to do as they see fit, but we get this question periodically. I thought I'd put this out there, and hopefully it'll bless some of you guys. Papa out. You know, the farther you get from the beginning, the closer you are to the end, and a lot of people are really feeling like we're heading into some end-time events. The Bible has a lot to say about the future before it happens. Many of those prophecies have been fulfilled, but many are yet to come. One thing that I did a while ago was I was looking at some things that a lot of mainstream Christianity says about the end times, and as I studied scripture for myself, I found them to be kind of lacking or kind of taken out of context or slightly twisted. So one thing I did is I put together this resource called 50 Days to Understanding the End Times More Accurately. I took a lot of what I was seeing from scripture, and I just made it where each day you can open, you've got some stuff over here and some stuff over here, That's your reading for the day. And in just 50 days, I think it'll open up your eyes to a lot of what Scripture actually says that it seems people overlook sometimes. It's not very hard to read. It's pretty digestible. And at the end, there's just a couple points usually on each page to make sure that whatever I was trying to bring out of the text, you didn't miss or overlook. It's a resource we put out a while ago, and I think it's all the more valid the closer that we get to the end. Many people who've read it already have really appreciated it, and we'll have a link in the description and probably the pinned comment where you can get this either directly from Amazon or from us on our Etsy shop. Be blessed.